Hello! I've been a longtime fan of this creator, Mr. Bones 40k, who got me back into 40k. So, yeah. I'm always happy to watch more of his videos, and I wonder what you guys will think if we react to this one. Oh, I hope he approves, honestly, but he's way bigger than us, so he'll probably not even know we exist. Let's be real here.
One day
we'll talk about 40k with him, and he will tell me all about his Night Lords that he loves so much, even though I find them creepy and insane.
Yep.
I don't see it happening.
Practically most of the people who I always wanted to collab with have retired. like back in middle school, I used to fucking dream of collab with Matt Pat.
Yeah, the one I've always wanted to collab with, he's still doing now, is Chilled Chaos, who is someone I've watched for a long time.
I would drink a can of Chilled Chaos.
Not sure he would be into that. I think he's married.
I didn't mean it like that. I mean, like, it'd be a great fucking name for a beverage.
That is actually true. Anyway.
But I understand why you thought I meant it like that, given who I am, but...
Yes, because you make jokes like that constantly. Like, constantly. Anyway. Let's learn about the rat people. And their many ratty adventures. Also... The Skaven are silly, but we need to eventually... I need to eventually get my friends either into Darktide or Vermintide. Either way, it will be fun. Need more friends in it.
Been a fan of this particular topic pretty much since... Hi, I'm Arthur. And I've been sitting on this for quite some time now, as I've been a fan of this particular topic pretty much since the outset of me getting into Warhammer. See, there are a bunch of different topics that I'm very passionate about, and if you know me well enough, or you're in the Discord, you'd know that I absolutely positively adore rats. I've had pet rats for well over 3 years now, and I'm probably going to have pet rats for many years to come. They are just goofy looking. But that aside...
I've actually never had a pet rat. I've seen people have pet, like, you know, hamsters, gerbils, but pet rats have never really been a thing for me, you know?
Yeah, but, you know, I've been thinking about getting a pet hedgehog.
They do look cute.
They're tiny, they're cute, they're floofy.
Yeah.
They trundle.
They roll. They roll around at the speed of sound.
No, you just pick them up and they just kind of roll as you give them ear scritches.
I see. Anyway, we should probably learn more about these rats. Hopefully.
Yes.
If you guys want.
You could probably piece together that by extension, I really like the Skaven. I even tried collecting them back when I was in university and first getting into Age of Sigmar, but university student loans, no job, and collecting Skaven don't really mix well, so it fizzled out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And thus, now...
Look, I have a well-paying job and collecting Skaven wouldn't mix well.
Yeah, it just seems like the models for 40k or any kind of stuff made by Games Workshop just seems to go up. And don't get me wrong, some of the Skaven models look silly and fun, but yeah.
I just don't feel like the boxes are worth the amount of money I'm putting down for the boxes given their size.
Yeah.
And you're free to disagree with me, and in that case, I'll be sure not to pickpocket you because you have no money.
Yeah, Skaven know how... Well, actually, if it's a higher level Skaven, then they probably have money that you can steal.
Well, yeah, but there's nothing to steal.
I'm a full-time YouTuber, and I'm working on a minor Skaven army now myself, though it's mostly because I ended up tripping and falling into a bunch of Skaven because of that AOS launch box. I now feel like it's time for me to talk about the Skaven. So, with all that preamble out of the way, what specifically is the topic today? Well, for one, Skaven are awesome. And two, I want to discuss where the Skaven are and kind of what their origins are for pretty much the entirety of every Warhammer setting I can find. Because they're in pretty much all of them. Give some lore for Warhammer Fantasy, Age of Sigmar, and then good old Warhammer 40k, because I know if I put 40k in the front, my viewer retention is gonna drop like a stone. I'll throw in some pretty spicy memes and pictures of my big dumb rats along the way, and hopefully only sparingly use the Rats We Are the Rats song, because I feel like in this video it's almost impossible for me not to use it at least once. So before we break down into the specific settings, let's cover the basics to start. So what even is a Skaven?
I want to know.
Are kind of a unique creation of Games Workshop. Not so unique as to be like revolutionary, but in a collective of franchises like Warhammer, where
they are pretty synonymous with Warhammer Fantasy, and they are kind of the only race of their kind. I don't see them in like other fantasy settings like dwarves and elves with you do and orcs.
The majority of everything that's on display is like either a knockoff of Tolkien, a knockoff of Dune, or something from Heinlein. James Workshop kind of had the stars aligned to make the Skaven. They're not that unique, but they're just beastmen, but rat. Well, sort of. So Skaven are usually 4 to 5 feet tall, upright walking man rats that in a weird way are explosively intelligent with very little regard for anybody else. Also, they're so perked the fuck out that they can't maintain a single thought for longer than 5 seconds, and thus are so twitchy as to make the most volatile of New York crackheads seem downright laconic and controlled.
That's a hell of a saying. Goddamn.
They usually dress in rags, but that also kind of belies the oddity that is consistent to all the Warhammer settings, and that is that they have explosively unstable but incredibly advanced technology.
Yes, they do.
World War II era stuff. The Skaven mentality is, as long as it has the potential to work once and get me what I want in the moment, then who cares if I mount a small thermonuclear warhead on top of a bottle rocket launcher? Go ahead, it's gonna be funny. They also have a predilection towards stitching together as many rats as humanly possible and seeing how long it takes for it to die.
Dear
and
God,
if it doesn't, they attach weapons and a few engines to it afterwards, and then just point it in the direction of whatever they want dead. I will make the distinction
Clan
that
Mulder
giant
is creepy.
rats, although included in the Skaven army roster, are not actually Skaven. They are giant rats. There is actually a difference. So we got the basics of the Skaver out of the way. I had to make this distinction because some dude sent me down the rabbit hole of trying to research Necromunda because they said that there were Skaven, but it turns out it was just one dude and his pet giant rats, which I kin this man, but you know, it is what it is. Before we get into Warhammer Fantasy and explain the ratos there, let's talk about something that won't steal your silverware while you're sleeping in order to plot some sort of large-scale rebellion. As you all know, I love me the tangy punch of Warpstone to get me through the day. But Gamer Sups is the healthier alternative, of course. And doctors say it sleeps and bounds better for me than the radioactive magic rocks. It's one of the reasons I'm always
Warpstones are basically radioactive magic rocks.
We have a bit of a doozy, as there is a special running from today until the 13th. Using code BONEZONE at checkout will give you free shipping worldwide. And to kind of put you on a free bag here, if you were ever curious about trying Gamer Sups or trying new flavors of Gamer Sups,
I've never actually tried Gamer
Sups. Is free. You just need to pay shipping on it. So with free shipping, might be worth it to snag it with whatever you order. I promise there will be no Warpstone in there, unless you're a Skaven. Then there's a non-0% chance there will be Warpstone in there if you use code BONEZONE at checkout to buy yourself some titty milk,
good
which,
code.
by the way, titty milk is weirdly delicious. For legal reasons, there will not be radioactive magic Skaven Warpstone in your purchase. So use code BONEZONE at checkout for free shipping, but also to help support the channel. Thanks again to Gamer Sups for sponsoring this channel.
You do not want
we hop directly into the rat slop. Warhammer Fantasy.
Here we go.
Yo, gee shit. Warhammer Fantasy is more or less where the Skaven, the Ratmen, and well, I guess Warhammer started. So it makes sense for us to cover them there, which is what we shall do. Basically, the Skaven have a few myths as to their creation, but because I'm mostly just ripping off all this information from Pancreas No Work and the wiki, we'll go with the one that I think is the funniest and most consistent. That is the Tower to the Gods theory. Basically, there was this rather quaint, nice city of people whom were super quaint and nice to each other. Dwarves, humans, and probably a few elves, maybe some halflings. They one day decided to thank the gods for their very quaint and nice life by creating this massive tower.
Oh, we're getting a Babylon
personally
over here.
And, make a bunch of statues inside representing all of the gods in existence.
Oh.
Kind of like a chaotic good version of the Tower of Babel. Eventually, they ran out of the technology capable of building things high enough to get to where they needed to go. There is a reason why it gets exponentially harder the higher you start to stack shit. But then, out of nowhere, some man appeared, whom totally wasn't about half a dozen rats in a trench coat, promised to build the tower up for them. All he asked was to have an idol to his god in the tower, which was just gonna be a bell. What's wrong with the bell? Bell is cool. Respect the bell. The bell is law. He seemed trustworthy, so they let him do it. This was what we call in the industry a big fucking mistake. Come the completion of the tower, and you have yourself this massive bell at the top that was the idol dedicated to the non-rat man, this god. To make things even more suspicious, upon the tower's creation, the bell tolled 13 times, and thus all hell broke loose. Though not all at once. There were a bunch of green lightning flares that were in the sky, and then everybody in the city got a notification in the top right corner of their screen that was similar to like Left 4 Dead when you notified the horde, except it just said, congrats, rats are now sentient. And thus the rats of the city began to grow larger. The crops started to die, and the dwarves held up in their mountain holes, which is, that's not that out of the ordinary, but they weren't letting anybody in or out, which is a little out of the ordinary sometimes. And after a little while, the Skaven appeared, and thus a legendary race was born to do nothing but just dick people over as much as possible.
And themselves.
They are a pervasive and almost unavoidable faction in fantasy. As them bastards are downright everywhere, they are built up of various clans. Each clan is dedicated to...
Dear God, there's so many clans. I only thought there was like 4. Oh my God, because I know Clan Mulder and a few others. Like the one that does the nukes and the chemical weapons.
The one that does the what?
Yeah.
Also, I just saw something incredibly stupid while going through the E20 books to try and find a contact for this mission.
Mm-hmm.
There's a perk that just lets you be Kenshiro.
Oh. Well, then.
When you critically succeed on an armed attack, you gain a story point. Anytime you're in the mission, you can spend a story point to inflict massive damage on your target, instantly depleting the remaining health and rendering them defeated. Work with the GM to figure out if this flat out kills your foe or just puts them in a fucking coma.
Well then.
Also, they could have left. It explicitly specifies, this works even if they're thousands of miles away now.
Anyway, I was just going to go through, Skaven are weird but silly. They are,
very silly. They have the rat gat.
Yeah, like I said before, there's the one that does the mutations. There's the one that does the chemical warfare. There's some others that I don't remember. One that screws around with warp ship. And I guess what he's talking about right now was the rise of their god, the Horned Rat, who hates the Skaven as much as they hate him.
All right, the god that eats them.
Yeah. If they don't worship him, he basically eats them. Which, yeah. No one likes the Horned Rat. I don't even think any Skaven actually like the Horned Rat.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
To different degrees of icky yucky, ranging from, they just warrior rats, to, that's very icky yucky. Maybe.
Yeah, those things are gross.
I'll break
I don't remember
down
what they're called.
Clans in the future if you guys ask.
For reference, for anyone, I have actually played Total Warhammer. I played a little bit of the Skaven, not a lot of it. I mostly played... Oh, great, I am. I played a little bit of the Skaven on Total Warhammer, but not a lot of it. I mostly play the Lizardmen and a few others. Like I was trying out the Wood Elves. I haven't played in a while. I want to get back to my campaigns, but work is sapping away my strength. Anyway. Go try Total Warhammer. It's fun if your PC can handle it, because God is it an intensive game for PCs.
For it enough. So if you want to hear a breakdown of all those clans of Skaven, or at least the major ones, leave a comment down below. Maybe I'll do that. But suffice to say, the main 4 flavors that you need to worry about when it comes to the rats is the Verminous, which are the warrior rats.
Okay.
Scryer, the mad scientist rats.
That's
Molder,
them.
the I will give you $5 if you lick the elephant's foot and survive rats. And
What?
Pestilence, which are the rats that lick the elephant's foot regularly and now want you to do it. Okay. Me,
Ow.
Arthur.
Okay, go back a little bit.
And now want you to do it. Okay.
I don't really get what he meant by telling someone else to lick. I guess they're the mutation clan.
Lick the fucking elephant foot, coward.
And of course there's Pestilence, which deals with diseases.
This is me,
Yes.
Arthur.
I'm not gonna
editing
lick
the
an
video.
elephant's foot.
I just realized only now that, I forgot Clan Eshin.
Oh.
They're kind of a big stylistic division between the rest of the clans. Yeah, they're just ninja rats. That's literally it. I am
Assassin
so
rats.
busy right now that I have no ability to edit this in naturally. Like, stay tuned to the end of the video to find out why I'm so busy, but suffice to say, it's just like a lot going, you don't care. Just back to the rat. But there's so many more clans than that. In general, those are the 4 flavors of Rattata that you can find in fantasy, and they are just crispy little fellers. Shout out to one of my best and closest friends, Nick. I started to meet up with him and a bunch of other friends at a local friend's house where we play Warhammer the Old World almost on a weekly basis now. And to put a picture in your head, this man is 6'3", jacked as shit, and rolls up to the function in a muscle tee, shotgunning both vodka and high caffeine energy drinks, and slaps his Skaven dick on the table like it isn't the scariest thing I've ever seen. I played him last week with my dwarves because, of course, I play dwarves. And the boy smoked at least 700 points of dwarves with gas globes and a bunch of random attack bullshits from his Pestilence clan, guys. And I just think that that's really fun, and also a really good side note as someone who's been fighting Skaven a little bit recently. Doesn't matter if you win or lose a game with Skaven, you're going to have fun. A lot of it comes up to random, wacky, statistical anomalies.
I do actually know a bit of this where they can do like they can shoot their guns normally, or they can overcharge and have the chance of it hitting really hard or exploding in their hands. It's a very Skaven-y Skaven thing. You know, where you have things they just try their best to hurt you and could blow up in their face in any second.
Fair.
That is very Skaven, where they are quite literally the saying of the best fought plans of mice and men often go awry. Even though these aren't the best plans, these are the plans they had first, and damn well they're not going to change their plans now. Because they're Skaven.
The plan is to make shit explode. They're not particularly picky on which shit. They have a preference, but you know, what happens, happens.
Yeah. I mean, if the other Skaven explode, that's fine for them. They have one less...
explode, well, it's not going to be their problem anymore.
Yeah. Maybe that Skaven was trying to overthrow them. It's possible. The Skaven constantly screw each other over continuously.
That you have to balance. Like, I get to roll random amounts of shots, but every time I fail a shot, he somehow gets brain damage because of magic whatevers. That's the entire army of Skaven. Like, sometimes if you misfire so much, they just explode, and it just comes out of nowhere, and it can destroy your entire army. But you can't be mad at it because it's just really, really fun. So, yeah. Once the world of fantasy was destroyed, which is kind of where they're at now, the Chaos Gods destroyed the world of fantasy and everything progressed. But what happened after? Well, you get Warhammer.
Age of Sigmar.
The Age of Sigmar.
Do you know anything about Age of Sigmar?
Yeah, that's the one that had all the dumb meme rules. It's what came after the apocalypse.
Yeah, I heard it's getting better, but I still don't like Age of Sigmar all that much. When I look at the Stormcast Eternal, these are reverse Space Marines in the worst way possible, because you didn't make them giant cool knights. You gave them weird death masks and made them not cool looking at all. Why did you do this? Why? Why? Why are you like this? Why'd you do this to me? Anyway. All I wanted was big cool knights, okay?
Okay, so going into Age of Sigmar was not nearly as big of a difference as you'd think for the Skaven, but there was some key details, and I think they're neat, and I'm going to cover them as much as humanly possible.
Okay.
So, in fantasy, the Skaven did worship this minor chaos god by the name of the Great Horned Rat,
There
which
he
was
is.
this big, massive horned rat god, I guess. You know.
Also, I should make preference that there are minor chaos gods in Warhammer Fantasy. Yeah. They're not usually brought up, but they do exist, like the god of unbelief. He's just kind of there, and he looks like a normal dude and tells everyone to go away. Especially if they worship him.
The name pretty much explains everything you'd need to know. He was basically just like a fifth chaos god, but it never played into the setting as much as you'd think, other than being the god that the Skaven worshipped. But like in AOS, the Great Horned Rat is on par with other chaos gods, if not only just a bit weaker than the majority of them, and is just genuinely a fifth chaos god with his own realm and greater demons as a whole.
That's horrifying.
Well, the demons in question, the Vermin Lords, did exist in fantasy, but in AOS they got a rework and look cool as all hell.
They look kind of cooler and less horrifying. Like, this is a bit of a cooler design for them. Especially with those tails, dear God.
Variations and a fifth named version, as well as a new one that's coming out relatively soon. So in Age of Sigmar, the major difference is that one, the Skaven exist and will always exist, as that is what rats do. They exist. You can't really get rid of them.
Unfortunately.
In this universe, the Skaven have the pretty broken ability to tear through reality with gnaw holes and appear in any of the various realms, no matter how distant they are.
That's terrible.
Not many people can reach them, as their own slice of the mortal realms has too many damn rats to fathom, so showing up would basically lead to you swiftly being eaten and torn apart. In the second thing that you need to know is that instead of clans like in the fantasy setting, you have clan types. Instead of having one clan that's just pestilence, you have an entire group of clans dedicated to the ideas of clan pestilence and worshipping also Nurgle as well as the Great Horned Rat. They are also now considered one of the most dangerous threats in Age of Sigmar, and have been for a little while now.
I mean, before I believe they were actually like the people who read the stories considered them dangerous, but they mostly screwed each other over too much to actually be a real threat, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They just... Well, the biggest problem of a Skaven is another Skaven. As it goes.
Yeah. Another Skaven knows where you sleep.
Another Skaven knows where you sleep, so that's why you keep a knife on your bed to stab that Skaven, or you stab him before he can stab you by going to his bed. But he also has a knife, so you stab each other. This is how Skaven thought works.
Though they still serve as underling to a lot of greater Chaos Lords, but in general the amount of Skaven in the universe is quite large. Though in the modern setting the Skaven are actually now the main threat of the setting, which is cool. There is this event going on known as the Vermin Doom, which, it's a bit of a stupid name, but the summation of that is basically across every single realm in the mortal realms. Almost infinite amounts of Skaven are just spawning in as small cracks are opening across the multiverse. And no one really knows how to deal with them. So some factions are dealing with them better than others. The Stormcast Eternals are going around to aid the other factions of Order, which does help, but, infinite rats. So, with all that in mind, because of the Vermin Doom 4.0 being a thing,
like
Skaven are getting a bunch of new models, a bunch of new named characters, and I think that they deserve the limelight, as they're one of the most creative and interesting factions in Warhammer. So, with all that being said, let's go to the next segment of this video.
That's not a spell. No, I cast it like you cast a stone. I'm throwing an Infinirat at them.
Oh my God.
Just want to let you guys know, I lied.
What?
Blood Bowl.
Yeah! The only sport I can get behind.
True, same here, for the most part. It's real fantasy football.
Indeed.
Honestly, I've been Oh, go ahead.
You've seen those cheap parodies of it's football, but wizard. No, fuck that. Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl is the true fantasy football.
Yeah, because it's so much... It looks like fun. And it looks so silly. And also, my friend Fable's going to be forced to play Blood Bowl soon. So if you guys want to see that, I'll leave a link to his Twitch down below if I remember to.
Nice. I would be down to play Blood Bowl on the tabletop with you.
Yeah, it looks like fun. It's so goofy an idea. I don't even know how it came about, but it's a thing now.
Hey, isn't my roommate coming through in the background?
Only a little.
Ah.
No
Well, that's
worry.
unfortunate.
It's fine.
Fuck you, it's my video, I can do what I want with it. Hell yeah, Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl is awesome, and if you say otherwise, you have too much of a stick up your ass to enjoy the pure lunacy of fantasy football. Yeah, the universe of Blood Bowl, which is basically just an AU of Warhammer Fantasy, where due to the intervention of a drunken dwarf possibly communing with an ancient god of chance named Nuffle, the world...
Yeah, that's the chaos god of Blood Bowl is Nuffle, which I love to tell Fable that he's an acolyte of Nuffle, which he tells, no, I'm not. I don't even like
Nuffle.
Yeah. At some point, we need to play the Blood Bowl, one of the Blood Bowl video games for funsies.
Solves its problems through
One of the
high-stakes games of Blood Bowl, which is...
Yeah, there are video games for it. There are some for tabletop sims, I think, but yeah.
Well, Tabletop Simulator has everything.
Oh, it does?
Yeah, it uses the Steam Workshop.
Huh. We'll look into this later. But yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, if you guys want to see us play Blood Bowl, comment down below how much you want us to play Blood Bowl, and I will obviously be playing the Guacamole Crater Gators.
Peak.
That is the Lizardmen team.
Basically,
all
football
you gotta do is clog you with halflings.
Oh my god. You can't win with halflings.
I just need to retroactively be the reason they instituted the rule against the rule of player counts.
Oh yeah, that's a video that I didn't show you guys that we watched this, and I showed him, but yeah. I need to eventually upload that video too, but... Yeah, I just didn't want to step on any toes.
Yeah.
So I was real
It's
worried,
amazing,
so.
and I remember playing a lot a few years back. This shit was fun. Regardless, where did the Skaven come in? Oh, baby, you asked the right question at the right time. The Skaven came in with their most famous team, the Skaven Blight Scramblers, a team that was formed to prove the resiliency of Skaven and how they too can win at sport ball game, quickly rising to be the #1 ranked team in the Warpstone Bowl games, which is the All-Skaven League. The Scramblers consistently demonstrated throughout their long career of being the toughest, the rowdiest, and the cheatiest team of Blood Bowl competitors in the game.
Because we replaced Blood Bowl ball with explosive. Unfortunately, our quarterback got there first.
Skaven would obviously cheat. It's Skaven. We know this.
Yes.
We know these things.
Two moments I think are really fun is
like
one, in one of their first games in the official Blood Bowl League, outside of all the Skaven ones that they were doing before, they ended up going up against some small halfling team. Upon winning, convinced said team that there was a losing to the Scramblers upon their first game Warpstone tax, and because they couldn't pay it, because why the hell would halflings have Warpstone, they were sold into slavery and removed from the league permanently. And another fun one is when the Scramblers went up against another Skaven team that had risen above the ranks of the normal Skaven teams in the Warpstone Bowl to join the actual Blood Bowl League. Which, before I get into this, I remind you, most things are legal in Blood Bowl as long as the ref doesn't catch you doing it. So, when the Skaven Blight Scramblers went up against the Doomfire Warp Hunters, both had...
These are actually some funny names for the teams. Doomfire Warp Hunters.
Dug out a small tunnel network under the Blood Bowl pitch, and it had led to the whole pitch and inevitably collapsing, killing almost all of the Warp Hunters and a few of the Scramblers, which led to the Scramblers being victorious, because they didn't really have much of a competition after that. God, I love Blood Bowl. Hey, yo, if you guys want to see some Blood Bowl lore videos, let me know. This shit is super funny. But anyway, this joke aside, let's get into why you all actually came here and talk about...
Why came here for the Blood Bowl? Go back to Blood Bowl.
Always here for the Blood Bowl. He doesn't really into 40k mostly because it's somewhat depressing. But yeah, he really does like fantasy and Blood Bowl.
Warhammer 40k. And here we are, the place you all have been wanting to get to, but I have been a meandering bitch and wanted to stretch out the runtime of this video because Skaven are an interesting topic, and also YouTube would pay me more. I did do a decent amount of research into...
I can understand that. Also, these are some cool designs. I don't know who did this, and I don't think this is official art, but it is cool looking.
Mecha Rat.
Please don't give that an idea. We don't need Met having more ideas.
Mecha Rat!
That's just Rat Trap.
And?
Oh my god.
Skaven.
What's your point? I have your wallet.
And in general, I've come to the concrete conclusion that, well, there are no Skaven in 40k. I know, it's crazy. They're one of the most marketable factions in the entirety of GW's catalog, and it's not in GW's biggest moneymaker game, which I feel, although is a missed opportunity, I do think that it isn't entirely out of character for the company. CGW has been going through a bit of a phase recently that started a long time ago, but has been only really manifesting recently. It is confusing at best and frustrating at worst, where they are separating factions from games that they are shared in. Like, Beastmen are going to be a central threat for the old world, and because of this, they are being removed completely from AOS, which is stupid, incredibly stupid. But I'm not going to get stuck on that.
It is still a thing.
So Skaven are kind.
But
why?
What?
I don't think anyone really liked it.
No one did, but they're slowly starting to make changes that people are somewhat liking. So it's just kind of there, but we have Warhammer Fantasy Old World at least.
Yeah, like, if you already have Warhammer Fantasy, why the fuck would you bother with Age of Sigmar?
Because they didn't think it was making enough money, so they were changing it to Age of Sigmar. That's why the End Times was happening.
No, I meant from the player perspective.
Well, you can carry over a lot of your minis, apparently, to Age of Sigmar.
That's not what I heard when I watched a video about the changeover.
Yeah, I said some of them. I didn't mean a lot of them, sorry.
And so a lot of fantasy players just fucking junked their armies because they were worthless now.
Yeah, I miss my Bretonnian Knights.
That was like I saw pictures of like thousands down the drain.
Yeah, it's people are more accepting it than, you know, moving to it, I believe. It's kind of funny because some of the designs for the newer models for Age of Sigmar actually look like they belong in Warhammer, look like they belong in 40k, but they aren't for 40k, so you can't use them.
You can, you just need to, make your own rules.
Honestly, we should be doing that more.
Where they put them in the Legends category for the old world, as they're not going to be really supported in that game anymore due to the big release of New Skaven for Age of Sigmar, which is stupid as hell. But
it is stupid as hell.
Not going there, but follow me where I'm actually going to, as I'm getting to a point soon. Basically, the Skaven aren't in 40k, and I doubt they ever will, as GW doesn't like sharing its properties because they want people to buy the armies built specifically for games in mind.
Yeah.
More armies, more money. If this is all true, then why am I bringing up Skaven in 40k at all if they were never there and they never will be? Well, that's not entirely true. So in the 3rd edition 40k rulebook, there was an introduction to alternative aggressive xenospecies. These species are non-typical aliens that you wouldn't normally see. We got the Kroot, a Necron that was nameless at the time, and we have the goodness, that is not a Hrud. Yeah, in the original design for the Hrud, they were actually Skaven. Or at least they looked
The Hrud are weird because they're starfish people that can bend time around them. Yeah, they're horrifying. They once accelerated a man in the opposite direction because he was a servo skull into back to being human. He then immediately melted into goo.
Really close to Skaven.
It was horrifying.
The Jezzail-style rifle and the rat
but that
tail
still looks
and whatnot. What are the implications? Literally nothing, as it was probably just retconned out. But also the...
He said retconned instead of retconned. Because of course he did. I just had to point that out.
Would be more than nothing, as they have done big retcons in the past, like with the squats becoming the Leagues of Votan. So in theory, this is nothing. It was early Games Workshop just doing Games Workshop stuff, and they will likely never touch this. But it is possible that they could turn it into something. Say it's just a miscategorization by some xenotech for the Imperium calling it a Hrud when they didn't know what the Hrud were. I mean, anything's possible. They brought the squats back. It could be cool to mention them mechanically as like an army of nothing but unstable mechanics. Kind of like a ranged answer to the orcs.
That's
where
an interesting
all their
idea.
shooting is good, but incredibly unpredictable and just as likely to blow up in their face as it would be to actually work.
This does make me want to make my own fantasy race, but that'll take a lot of effort for me and it'll take more time.
Not likely to happen. Though if they are unveiled, yeah, I'm gonna blow a gasket and probably point back to this video, but that's a future me thing to worry about, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is a tiny teddy bear.
And that is pretty much everything we know about the Skaven in every game. I know I went a little bit light here and there, but if this video does well, I might do individual deep dives into each individual aspect, especially if people really like the Blood Bowl stuff. Though I'd have to get some feedback from all of you to know that. I know
maybe we'll play Blood
a lot
Bowl.
of you have been asking for more weird
I'd love to.
off-the-beaten path content, so here you are. I've been a big fan of the Skaven since I started the hobby, and have started to even paint some Skaven for AOS, but that's a story for another time. Let me know in the comments what you think of the Ratmen and how they could possibly fit into the setting of 40k. And if you really liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Special thanks to my channel members for supporting me, and if you want to support me as well as gain access to early and additional content, then become a channel member today. Thanks once again for watching, and I swear, if you guys were just gaslighting me that you want more AOS content, and this video tanks, I'm going to hunt you all down and stick this under your pillow. Yeah, think on that, I guess.
Fair enough.
Alright. So,
I gotta bounce, Wolfie.
Alright, so thank you all so much for coming by. If you like what we're doing here, please do consider following. I was originally going to ask what you thought of the Skaven, but it's obvious we're taking time. So
I think they're adorable rat things.
Alright, thank you all. I'll see you all later.